Folks, it's right after Thanksgiving. Miss Katie did not cook me as the turkey, so life has been pretty good. We are down to less than 30 days to see if we have another water disaster like we did on Christmas Eve last year. I think the good Lord will spare us from that. So, we have a new magazine game, folks. And what one is it called, Miss?
Baltic Offensive.
And folks, I want you to note, she read that without her glasses on.
Bite me.
Well, she doesn't mean that, folks. But Miss Katie also has been a little under the weather, up and down. She has something. Well, we kind of all have something because here we are living in Alabama and our weather has been going up and down like a roller coaster. Because tonight it is to be how many degrees, Miss?
I don't know what you tell me.
28.
28.
28. So it's going to be cold for here tonight. Right now it is still 50, but it's going to be 28 tonight. In fact, I had to cover one of my flowers that is still blooming outside. I have flowers blooming in Alabama in almost December. So,
Yep.
Do you know what this is about at all, Miss?
I do not.
It is the Baltic states. This is Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. We actually had talked about going on a cruise there prior to the Russian-Ukrainian war and prior to us going to the Ukraine on a cruise. And instead we went to the Ukraine and saw Chernobyl and had lots of fun. But, so this is a new game. It's a magazine game, which means who bought it? I bought it because nobody sends me magazine games.
No.
So this is one that's ours, and it's by Javier Romero, who is one of my favorite new designers. So we'll see what it's about. And what kind of tank is that on the front, Miss? Do you know?
You're asking me? I have no idea.
It's a Conus.
What I know now.
It's a Conus Tiger, which is a king tiger, Miss. Conuses. Oh, we're going to have to do professional development on armor tomorrow, aren't we?
Or whatever.
Oh, whatever. So, but anyway, folks, I hope you're getting ready into the holiday spirit. I hope everybody is well at your house, and blessings to y'all. Thanks. And somebody is supposed to say bye-bye. She's obviously Mr. Q. You can only train him so well, folks. Bye. All right, folks. Baltic Offensive. This is my favorite yardstick. This is my yardstick from when I was a child. So, here it is. Let's look at the map. The red line is the front line here in 1944. The Germans had, in the late summer of 1944, had punched a hole back up here and had relieved Riga. It was a wild cavalry ride. And that was after they had gone ahead down here and had stopped the Soviet offensive at Warsaw. So, Javier Romero's new game in World at War issue 93, December of this year. You notice the German fortifications here. And you notice these are the victory point areas. Okay, the Germans have to get a total of, the Soviets have to get 13 victory points for strategic victory. Well, actually they have to get 10. There are 13 on the map. But you note 5 of them are down here in Germany. And of course at Gumbinnen, which is also famous for World War I. And then in World War II, when the Soviets broke through there, they raped and pillaged. And then they got thrown out and they raped back, and then they came back again. But here it is, we end up later with Army Group Courland. Now Hitler is saying, you have to defend up here. Because if we lose the Baltic states, Finland will bolt out of the war. You know, they bolted out of the war anyway. And if we lose that, we lose the Gulf of Riga, and we perhaps lose the Baltic for training our new Type 21 U-boat. So, have to hold on to these areas. Now the map, I think the map is visually compelling. I know folks are going to fuss about, some folks might fuss about, well, you know, you got all this big block area here, Smitty, it's, you know, it ruins the thing. Well, for this operation, this area is irrelevant. This is because this is not where the Baltic fronts were coming through, so this area is okay. It's a 10-turn game, and of course you've got your standard CRTs at each side. They are odds-based and they're step losses. Now DG could have included extra space here, but it's been historically inaccurate. See, you kind of can't have it both ways, and again, I'm okay with it. But it does look funny at first, I think. It kind of looks like it's a shelf. So you go, well, okay. But sometimes operational and campaign games, I think, lead to funny maps. Okay, I accept that. Game turns are 10 days. The Soviets are numerically and operationally much stronger. Like I'm looking here at the counter sheet right now. Here are the counters. Ta-da! We'll see them close with that. Soviet infantry is a 4.64. German infantry is a 3.54. They are better. The Germans are not as good, and of course we all know German infantry is starting to really suffer at this point. The bad thing about, and we'll come back to the historic results, Javier forgot to tell us a historic result. How many points did the Soviets actually achieve here? So, much like Operation Albion by Joseph Miranda, he does the same thing, gives us a sliding historical scale, and then doesn't tell us the actual historical result. And I expect better from Javier, and I will drop him a note on that, and I will let you all know if he says something different here. One of the things you're going to like here is the Soviets set up various front markers. Well, the Germans don't know if they're real front markers or dummy front markers, which means the Germans don't know really where the Soviet punch is coming. And then the Germans have to roll on the Army's East table to see what fronts they can discover, and they may uncover a dummy front. So the German has to set up not knowing what the actual front situation is, where the Soviets' real units are and where the Soviets aren't as well. Makes for a very dicey start to a game, I think, here. So the German setup is muchly in the dark. And not only is it muchly in the dark, but they have to put 15 infantry divisions in Estonia. 15 infantry divisions have to go there because the Fuhrer compels it. Are you having burpees there, Miss?
Coughing.
Ah.
Can I get a cough drop?
Miss Katie is trying not to cough here, folks. So she will be back in a moment. You will hear the door open and close, and you may hear one of the kitty children come in. Stacking limits in this game are by the terrain effects chart, so you can't say, well, you can only stack this many or that many. It depends upon the terrain effects chart, folks. Standard zones of control rule, gotta stop. They block supply, except, and this is what I kind of like, the zones of control. The Germans can move from a zone of control to another zone of control and must stop. The Soviet player can only move from a zone of control to a non-zone of control to another zone of control. So it's still allowing the Germans that tactical finesse that the Soviets didn't always possess then. Okay, I can live with that. It makes it more interesting. In combat, though, also, the Germans can take, in lieu of a step loss, they can retreat another hex. Well, that depends upon if the stand fast orders have come into play from events that turn. Combat is always voluntary. Miss Katie came in, opened her pie hole, and showed me that she had
I have a cough drop. Thank you, guys.
a cough lozenge, so she doesn't sound like
Typhoid Mary.
or John Cleese when he's going to dinosaur skit in Monty Python.
Yeah, moving on.
There's some nice little chrome here. The first one are fronts. The front breakthrough is if the say it right here. Germans are defending here. The German losses are greater than the number of step units in the hex. That creates a breakthrough. A breakthrough allows other units that have not attacked, and they would have to be either cav, mech, or armor, to then go ahead and punch through here. That's a nice little thing. I'm kind of pleased by that thing. It goes to the later operational maneuver group that the Soviets used. Okay, looks so that allows for exploitation. Okay, the Germans have their counterpart, which is, let's see what it's called here, mobile assaults. And you want to do that probably in conjunction with the heavy armor units, but I'm thinking you're only going to want to do that in an emergency because you're going to be stressed enough and don't want to take any losses you don't have to. But the way I'm seeing this game, looking over it and knowing the history, the Germans have to attack sometime. You just can't sit back passively and take punch after punch. The Soviets up here can do amphibious assaults. Well, why would you do amphibious assaults? Well, victory point. So you have to do amphibious assaults. How about that? That's kind of clever. That's usually not noted much in the history of World War II on the East Front. The Soviets doing that kind of amphibious assaults in the North. The game allows for reinforcements and rebuilding units. The Soviets also, when they take certain areas, get what I like to say, the willing volunteer draft. Hi, you're a male in Estonia. You're now a Soviet soldier. Here's your rifle. And off to war you go. Even though you don't want to go with the Soviets, you're gone anyway. The game also uses headquarters units. Headquarters units provide support. But you have to be either stacked or adjacent to it, and it also matters in terms of air support. Okay, again, not very hard to figure, easy, but that little bit extra chrome. But there are no leaders in the game, folks. There are no leaders. Air support matters. There are 3 types of die roll modifiers for it. I'm not going to bore you with them. There's also naval gunfire support to include the Soviets getting them. Now, we were reading up here on that mad dash, the Prince Eugen was in support along with German destroyers, and the Prince Eugen fired 285 rounds out of its 8-inch guns in support of the German mad dash to free up Riga again. What I do like best, and I think I do like this best, is that there are a couple political, well, I wouldn't call them political. Let's see if he has them here. Random events. There are 7 random events, of which 3 of them can reoccur. There are 3 that you can put back into the pot, others not. And one of them, of course, are a Hitler stand fast order, because I need to protect my U-boats. I need to keep Finland from leaving the war. So there are those. There's also a nod to Hitler's political side about withdrawal orders. Are you going to be able to have free mobility or not? And that's done on a die roll. So good, a quick, easy nod to the political implications of fighting on the East Front and Hitler's obsession with trying to keep as many allies in the war as long as possible. So, there you got it on the game. This is going to go on the game table directly after we're done with this. Now, if you don't know much about it, I would consider getting the magazine. I don't get anything for this because I've already paid for this. I didn't get this for free, folks. But let me read you the best source on this area, outside of a large volume, specifically on the Baltic campaign, is Germany in the Second World War, Volume 8. And I'm going to read a little section here out of page 640 to tell you about the way things actually were for the Germans. Although the endangered section of the front had been specially reinforced, only an average of 86 men of combat strength and 1 artillery cannon could be deployed per kilometer. Moreover, there was so little fuel left that most of the motorized units were no longer capable of tactical maneuver. So, when you think that the Germans should be stronger in this game, think of that, 86 men per kilometer. All right, folks, we're happy. It's been a good year. It'll continue to be a good year. Christmas is coming up. So, thank you, folks. We'll see you a little bit later. And we're done.